Okay, thank you so much for joining us tonight there. Today, here in New York, I'm 12 hours, actually 13 hours behind. It's daylight savings time here, and I have to join you from the airport, LaGuardia Airport. I'm about to fly to Los Angeles, but we'll proceed with our second session. And if you missed our first session last week, please watch session one recording that is available already in the YouTube channel so that you are updated of what we covered last time. Okay, very good. There. So my screen is now available. Last week we tackled, I hope the sound in the airport does not distract you. It's quite noisy here. But anyway, we have to manage with what we have. Last week I tackled the pronunciation. And so just for you to review yourself, I will read for you the Our Father in Latin. And as I go through the pronunciation of the words, you are refreshed about what we tackled last week regarding pronunciation. Okay, here it is. Pater noster, qui est in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra. Some notes to take care to some things to take note of. I said qui, not ki, but qui. That was one of the lessons. Chalice. If you study classical Latin and you check materials available in the internet, they would put this as chalice. I don't like it. It does not authentically follow the rule that I gave you last week of AE is pronounced as F, chalice, okay? In the same way as we pronounce cello, which we get from where we get the word celestial in English, right? And then the other thing to take note of is I said cello, not cello, which is classical pronunciation that I mentioned last week. We're going to do ecclesiastical pronunciation. Continuing. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimite nobis de vita nostra, sicut et nos dimittimus de vitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo. Amen. Okay, some notes. Quotidia, that's the pronunciation. Odie, if you notice, I hardly pronounced letter H. It appears in the text, but it is lightly pronounced. And then the other thing to take note of, tentationem, like as if there is a letter S between I, the T, and the S. Or sorry, the T and the I. Tentationem. That was one of the lessons last week. Okay, so just to review, here are the salient points of the lesson I gave last week regarding pronunciation. C followed by I or E is pronounced as she, like what I mentioned earlier. Civitas celum, celerumque. But if the vowel that follows is A, O, or U, it's Ka, as in campus, castra. G, followed by E or I, is pronounced as G or J. But followed by A, O, or U, it's Ga, Go, or Gu. J does not exist. It is replaced by letter I. H is hardly pronounced. PI followed by another vowel it becomes C, like what we saw earlier, tentazione. Okay? And then the diphthongs. We're just reviewing. These were the things tackled last week. Okay. Yeah, you're going to see more of this as we go through some concrete examples of words. Another thing to take note of that I emphasized last week, G followed by N and another vowel. It's like nya, ni, like in magna cum laude. The correct pronunciation is magna cum laude, not magna cum laude. Okay, so let's move on. I will show you words and then just to highlight the pronunciations. Agricola, Roma, vite, A, followed by E, is pronounced as E. Vite, Germania, Aquarium, Castra, Victoria, Surge, Hispania, Nauta, Camping, Magna cum laude, Ignis, Diligo, Spatium, Cogitatio, Providencia, Humus, Fugitus, Requiem, it's not Requiem, it's Requiem, Septuaginta, Quatuor, sorry, this is double T, Quatuor, Quinque, Decem, Vigimti, Imitatio, Digitis, Frangere. Okay, moving on. Latin is the root of the Romance languages. That's why study Latin and you will have an easier time studying Italian, Spanish, French, Portuguese. So here are some samples of words coming from Latin and then appearing in the other languages. Amicus, amico, amigo in Spanish, ami in French, amigo also in Portuguese. English, amicable settlement, friendly settlement, because that's what it means. Liber, libro, libro, live, libro, in Latin, Italian, Spanish, French, Portuguese. Tempus, tempo, tiempo, temp, and tempo. English, temporary, temporal. Manus is hand, mano in Italian, mano in Spanish, name, now. Now, for example, in Tagalog, manivela, because it comes from the Spanish man, manu, mano, or mano a mano, etc. Okay, so you see the point I want to drive at is Latin being a Romance language, you have so many words that originate from Latin and appear in these other Romance languages. Last meeting, I even mentioned some scholars would even put it at 70% of the English language. Words in English, 70% of words we have in English actually come from Latin. So here are more derivations from the Latin language. Okay, last meeting also, I taught you how to count 1 to 10. That's the basic. You remember, unus, duo, tres, quatuor, quinque, sex, septem, octo, novem, and decem. Okay? Like in any language, you will need to memorize. You cannot escape memorization. And so I suggest, because I also make the slides available for you, you can start memorizing how to count first in Latin. Unus, duo, tres, quatuor, quinque, sex, septem, octo, novem, decem. And then let's proceed. 11 is undecim. It's like you put together unus and decem. It becomes undecim, like 11. 12 is putting together duo and decem, duodecim. 13, tres and decem put together, it becomes tredecim. Here is something to keep in mind about Latin. It is auricular, meaning to say it's meant to be heard. That's why many of the rules of how things are pronounced follow the principle of what sounds better, what sounds more fluid. Okay? So we don't say tres decim, but tredecim. There's supposed to be more fluidity in that. 14, quatuor and decem put together, quatuor decim. 15, remember what I said? Latin is what is heard better that becomes the rule. Quinque and decem put together becomes quindecim. That's supposed to make it sound more fluid rather than quinque decim, quindecim. Therefore, following that principle, try to think sex and decem put together. What do you think will sound better? Sex decem or sex decim sounds like there's a break. So to make it more fluid sounding, sedecim. Okay. Septem, decem put together, 17. Septendecim. Septendecim. Now, here's something interesting. 18 is not octodecim. 18 is 2 away from 20. 20 in Latin is viginti. Therefore, 18, which is 2 away from 20, is duo de viginti. Duo de viginti. 2 from 20. Therefore, what is 19? Unus de viginti or unde viginti. And then, of course, 20 is viginti. Okay? So, unus, duo, tres, quatuor, quinque, sex, septem, octo, novem, decem, undecim, duodecim, tredecim, quatuordecim, quindecim, sedecim, septendecim, duodeviginti, undeviginti, viginti. 21 is simply viginti unus. Okay? Etc. Therefore, 21, viginti unus, viginti duo, viginti tres, viginti quatuor. That's 21, 22, 23, 24. Viginti quinque, viginti sex, viginti septem, viginti octo, viginti novem. Now, the next that follows is simply 30, 40, 50. That's it. With that, you practically know how to count from 1 to 99. If you know 30 to be triginta, 40 quadraginta, 50 quinquaginta, 60 sexaginta, 70 septuaginta, 80 octoginta, and 90 nonaginta. Okay? And then what is 100 in Latin? 100 years is century. It comes from centum, 100. So 100 is centum. Therefore, Right. Okay. Therefore, let's just do a little practice. 205 is duo centum 200 quinque. 205. Duo centum quinque. 78. Septuaginta octo. I didn't get to show you 1000, which is mille, millennium. Millennium is 1000 years. Centum, century is 100 years. Okay? Therefore, following those rules, we have mille duo de dignity 1018. 137, 137. Centum, triginta, septem. 27, triginti, septem. 313. Tres, centum, 13 is undecim, duodecim, tridecim. So tres centum, um, what is 13 again? Undecim, tridecim. Okay, 49, quadraginta, novem. 10,000, decem, mille, undeciginti. Okay, 728, septem, centum, viginti, octo. And finally, 82, octoginta duo. That's it. With that, you know how to count all the way to 1000. But you will have to memorize the unus, duo, tres, quator, cinque, septem, octo, novem, decem, and then undecim, duodecim, tridecim, quatuordecim, etc. And then you will have to memorize viginti, 20, triginta, 30, quadraginta, 40, quinquaginta, 50, sexaginta, 60, septuaginta, 70, octoginta, nonaginta, and then centum. Okay, quick review of last week. We saw the different classical columns. This is Corinthian, another version of the Corinthian. This is Doric columns, another Corinthian. This is Ionic. This is Doric. This is Ionic. Okay, let's go to some Latin expressions. It's now 7:20, and we still have a number of things. I hope to be able to start covering today the nouns and even possibly the verbs. You know, when people learn that you study Latin, they will say, yeah, really? Sige nga, can you translate this expression? And so it's good to study some common expressions. Ad infinitum. We were listening to the teacher lecture on ad infinitum, like as if there's no end to eternity. That's a Latin expression. Here's another Latin expression. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Mea culpa. It's my fault. Okay, it's a common expression. Actually, it comes from the prayer confiteor, I confess. But now it's an expression that we use to say it's my fault. Mea culpa. We many times hear this, the person has been declared persona non grata, which literally means a person without grace. But really, the meaning of that is unacceptable or unwelcome. Like when you have Luca being declared by different cities for mocking the Black Nazarene, He was declared persona non grata, unacceptable person. You're not welcome here in this city. Ipso facto, you hear this very often, like as a legal term. He was absent. Ipso facto, he does not qualify by the fact itself that he was not present, that he was absent. Ipso facto, in the fact itself, makes him a champion. Here is another Latin expression that is very common. You hear this, in fact, many times as an expression of literally carpe, seize, diem, the day. That's the meaning of carpe diem. But it now has the connotation of don't let this opportunity pass. Grab it, carpe diem. This was used in the how do you call this? The Dead Poet Society movie, for example. Tabula rasa, literally tablet or board. Rasa, erase, is an English word that we get from the clean slate. That's the literal meaning. But it's an expression that you use when you say you don't understand anything. The lecture was so highfalutin, I was tabula rasa, that I could not understand it. My mind could not grasp it, tabula rasa. Here's an expression from the philosopher, I think, therefore I am, cogito ergo sum. And it has become already part of like an expression that people use. Here's the motto of Julius Caesar: I came, I saw, I conquered. Veni vidi vici. Here's another Latin expression: in vino veritas, in wine there is truth. You want to know the truth? Let the person drink wine. Literally, in vino veritas is in wine there's truth. Here's the motto of the United States, where I am right now. From 50 states, you have one nation, a pluribus unum. The pluribus, that's where we got the word plural, many, right? The last words of Julius Caesar before he was murdered, was killed by Brutus, F2, Brute, you also British, literally, but it has become an expression like when somebody betrays you, when you have a friend who has turned traitor, that's the expression you use. Et tu Brute. There's another very common Latin expression for step by itself. Here's another one that Latin expression that has become, in fact, English. Vice versa. But really, the correct Latin pronunciation is vice versa. To change or to turn around or the other way around. I will give you this and vice versa. You will give me this. Vice versa. Here's another Latin term that has become part of the English language, alma mater, which means literally dear mother. But now what we use it for is to refer to the school you come from, the school you studied in, alma mater. There's another term, Latin, that has become part of the English language, magnum opus, literally the great work, the greatest of one's works, a true masterpiece. That has become the meaning of magnum opus. This is one of the magnum opus of Johann Sebastian Bach, of Mozart, magnum opus. Here's another Latin term that has become part of the English language, bona fide. But now it's a Latin word, bona fide. Is a bona fide member of the club. Literally, it means good faith, but really, the connotation now is authentic. This person is the real deal. He is proven to be true, bona fide member, bona fide artist, etc. Here's another Latin word that has been absorbed by English, quasi. In English, quasi. Literally, it means as if or as though. And in English, this has become the meaning of quasi, like a quasi officer, quasi um, residence, official residence. Here's another Latin word or Latin phrase that has become English, alter ego, which is really Latin for another I. And in the literal translation for alter ego is another I. But in English, it has come to mean like someone who can take the place of another person, a second self. I cannot attend the meeting, but my alter ego will take my place, my representative, another I. Another Latin word that has become English, verbatim. The teacher asked us to copy the text verbatim, meaning to say word for word. But really, it's Latin for in exactly the same words. Finally, the last, there are many more Latin words or terms that have been absorbed by the English language. Status quo. It's now an English term to say the present state, but it is a Latin phrase, really. The existing state or condition of things. Okay, so much for common Latin expressions or Latin terms. Let us now go to one of the first difficult things about studying Latin, the nouns. Okay, let's go to the nouns. Last meeting, I mentioned that in Latin, nouns are grouped into 5 sets or 5 specific ways of forming. Let's call them declension. Let's go to the first declension, the first group of nouns. Here is the peculiar thing about nouns in Latin. If you studied Spanish, this would not be difficult for you. You may have a bit of an idea. In English, we change the ending of the word and you change the meaning. But in English, it's just add an S and it becomes plural. Add apostrophe S, it becomes possessive. Add S apostrophe, it becomes plural possessive. So effectively, there are only 3. In English, just if you change the ending of the word, like you add S, you add apostrophe S, you add S apostrophe, that changes the meaning. In the case of Latin, there are not just 3, there are 10. Change the endings and you change the meaning. Okay? And the endings for first declension are these, and this is the first set you will have to memorize. A, e, an, a, rin, is, as, is. corresponding to the 5 cases in the singular and the 5 cases in the plural. Let's take one example. Puela. Puela means girl in Latin. Puela. Change the endings to adding is, and you get puela, puele, puele, puelan, puela, puele, puelarum, puelis, puelas, puelis. Those are the term forms of the word girl in Latin. And then let's put them nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative, case in the singular. In the plural, nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, and ablative. Okay? When we say nominative case, it means the word acts as subject of the sentence. As in puela, the girl or a girl. In Latin, there is no participle, the or a. It does not exist. It has a connotation of how you can use it. Puele, genitive. It means it's possessive of the girl. So puela is the girl of the subject. Puele of the girl. Puele, dative, is indirect object to whom or for whom something is done. I gave money to the girl. That's puele. Now, is accusative, puelam. It acts as direct object of the sentence, as in, I saw the girl. If you're going to translate that into Latin, I saw the girl has to be translated as direct object, accusative case, puelam. Ablative is object of preposition, by, with, from, etc. And I think there are 27 prepositions that are covered by the ablative case. Okay, then you put it into plural. Puela is one girl. Puele, nominative, is two or more girls. The girls as a subject. Genitive plural, puelarum, of the girls. Dative, indirect object, two or for the girls. Accusative plural, puelas, the girls. I saw the girls. We invited the girls, puelas. And then ablative plural, governed by the girls, from the girls, with the girls, puelis. Okay, so that's the first challenge when we study Latin. You will have to memorize the endings of the declensions. For the first declension, a, arum is as is. Again, a, singular, corresponding to nominative, subject. Genitive, possessive. Dative, indirect object. Accusative, direct object of the sentence. And ablative, object of preposition. Here are some nouns that belong to the first declension, meaning to say they are all declined, put in the 10 different cases, according to the is agricola, which means farmer. That's where we get the word agriculture. Aqua, aqua, water. Yes, and that's where we get English words like aquatic, aquarium, aquarius. Hispania, Hispania, Spain. Insula, insula, island. Yeah, that's where we get the word peninsula. insular. Italia, Italia, Italy. Amicizia, amicizia, friendship. And yes, that is where we get the word amici, friends, amicable settlements, femina, femina, girl, woman also. And yes, that's where you get the word feminine in English. Pecunia, pecunia, money. There is an English word, pecuniary matters. We discussed pecuniary matters. It just means money matters. Sicilia, Sicilia, Sicily. So, if you notice, and if you go to a good Latin dictionary, the first two forms are given, agricola, agricole. The nominative and the genitive are given because it's in the genitive that you can determine what declension the word belongs to, whether it belongs to the first declension, second declension, third declension, etc. Okay? That's why a good dictionary will give you the first two forms. Let's look at some more Latin words. Roma, Rome, nauta, naute, sailor. Yeah, that's where we get the Latin word nautical miles, for example. Victoria, Victoria, victory. Vita, vita, life. And that's where you get words like vital or vitamins, life-giving. Escuela, we've seen it. Fabula, fabula, story. Grecia, Grecia. Greece, poeta, poete, poet. Via, via. Road or street. Okay, let's have a bit of an exercise. I saw the daughter of the girl. Daughter is filia, filia. I saw the daughter. What case is that? Direct object. Therefore, filiam. And then the of the girl is genitive. E. That's the genitive case. Therefore, you are going to translate this as filiam puelle. I saw the daughter, accusative, puelle, genitive. Let's take a look at another one. I saw the daughters of the girl. This is now plural. Earlier is singular, but now we need to use plural. Arun is us, puelas. Sorry, filias, filias for the daughters. Of the girls is now plural. Arum. That's why you have filias, puelarum. Okay? Now, trumpet in Latin is tuba, tube. I gave the plural. I gave the trumpets, that's accusative, plural. Arum is as, tubas, tubas. To the daughters, filia, 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 filiam, filia. But this is plural. We need to get the dative. Filia, filiarum, filiis. Take note of the pronunciation, filiis. And then of the girl, puelle, genitive singular. Tubas, filiis, puelle. The last example, the daughters of the girl. Daughters now is plural. It's the subject. Arum is as is. Filia, the daughters of the girl. Puella, puelle. Filia, puelle. Okay, now I understand you take a look at the endings, eh appears 3 times. So how do we know if from Latin to English translation, how do we know if it is supposed to be genitive singular, if it is genitive singular, or dative singular, or nominative plural? Well, there's no other way but to determine the context. You just have to get it by context. Okay. Remember, this is just introduction to the declensions. That's why I don't expect you to grasp very easily right away everything, but it's just to give you an idea of how it works in the actual course that we will be running from January to March. Of course, there will be a lot of exercises to for the participants to be able to digest more easily everything. Okay, I know the cause of the anger of the girls. Let's just take the cases first. Remember, nominative, subject, genitive, possessive, dative, indirect object, to whom or for whom, accusative, um, direct object, receiver of the action, and ablative, object of preposition. No need to translate, just give the cases. I know the cause, that's direct object, accusative, singular. Of the anger, in Latin, anger is ira, ire, I-R-A, ira, ire. In English, ire, the ire, the anger of the person. Of the anger, genitive, that's possessive. Of the girls, genitive, plural. The fortune, fortuna, nominative. Of the daughters, genitive, plural. By the women, this is object of preposition by, ablative, plural, women. Of the cave, genitive, singular. Okay? The punishment for the women. The punishment is nominative. For the women, indirect object, dative, plural. The glories of the hour. The glories, nominative, of the hour, genitive. So, with that, more or less, you have an idea of how words are formed. Again, we are only talking of first declension nouns. And when we say first declension nouns, we use the endings, change the endings, and you change the meaning. Arun is as is. Let's go to second declension. If first declension nouns are declined following the Arun is as is endings, we now go to second declension, which follows us, o, iorun is as is. For the masculine nouns. There are nouns that belong to the masculine. There are nouns that belong to the neuter second declension. Let's just go first to the masculine. Again, we have the 5 cases, nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, and ablative, still corresponding to subject, possessive, indirect object being the dative being the indirect object, accusative being the direct object or receiver of the action, and ablative being the object of preposition by, with, from, etc. Endings, us, o, is, is. Now, some nouns are neuter in Latin, and the endings are I o o, a o rin, is a is. I o o, a o rin, is a is. Okay? Let's just take up masculine nouns. Here are some examples of second declension masculine nouns. Amicus, amici. Take note, C followed by I is pronounced as C. And yet, the restaurant in the Philippines, amici, means friends. Amicus, amici. If I am going to decline amicus, amici, it becomes amicus, amici, amico, amicum, amico. Amici, amicorum, amicis, amicos, amici. The friend of the friend to the friend that's the receiver of the action, by the friend, with the friend, ablative. Plural, the friends as a subject, of the friends as genitive, to the friends or for the friends as dative, the friends as the receiver of the action, and by the friends or with the friends. Animus, animi, mind or spirit. English word, animation, animated. Campus, campy, plain or field. But now we use English word campus as the campus of a school. Caseus, casei, cheese. Cervus, curvy, beer. Tibus, tibi, food. So that restaurant, Italian restaurant, cibo, comes from this word. Chibus, chibi. Tagalog word, tibog. You have eaten. They is God. Sorry. Equus, equi, horse. Yeah, that's why we have equestrian, for example. Locus, loci, place. Local, location. That's English word that come from locus. Modus, modi, manner or means. Modus operandi. That's Latin. And that's what is becoming noisier here in the airport. Anyway, we will be only seeing oculi, oculi. That's why you have English word ocular, curvy, curvy, curvant. That comes from this word. Now, neuter, here are some samples of neuter nouns. Adjectivum, adjectivi. Sorry, adjectivum, adjectivi, adjective. Bellum, belly, war. Castrum, castri, fort. In the plural, it becomes camp. Oppidum, oppidi, town. Triangulum, trianguli, triangle. Venenum, poison. Verbum, word. Okay? So these are just some examples of second declension nouns. Of course, in the actual course, this will have to be, there will have to be a lot of exercises for the participants to be able to grasp more easily and clearly the lessons. But we will not be able to do that. And we are just in the second declension nouns. There are three more In fact, for me personally, the most interesting is the third declension nouns, because that is where you will see practically every word in the third declension has been incorporated into the English language, which we will not have time to go through for now. In the next meeting, I will introduce you to the verbs. Okay. And if there are 5 families of nouns, there are 4 families of verbs, which we call conjugation. If you have studied Spanish, then most likely very easy for you to grasp everything that we've so far taken up regarding um, the nouns, because we practically do the same with Spanish, except that in Spanish, I think it's simply singular and plural. It's only in Latin where you also use the ending letters to determine the prepositions, to whom or for whom, with, by, can, etc. Okay, great. Well, I think this is beginning to be the height of, we're on daytime savings time here in the US. That's why there are so many people already coming in. Yep. Doc Cordero, this is LaGuardia. And I still have 2 hours to go before my actual boarding time. And so, very well. So we will have to end for now. And I'm going to again pass on to you by email the link to the recording. I hope the recording does not capture the noise here. Um, and then I will also pass on to you the slides that I've used. And those who have not been able to join us for one reason or another, they will also receive this link so that they can still join us for the third session. So for now, we will have to end. Good night, everyone. My day is just starting here, and so hope to see. By next week, I will be back in Manila, so the we will be in the same time zone, or there will be less difficulty. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. My apologies for the noise that may have been captured by the, and I hope the noise cancellation worked well. And see you next week for the third and last of the free session. Have a good night, everyone, and see you again next week. Bye.